Hey there! In this video, I am going to be telling you one thing that is going to make your life 10 times easier as a car salesperson. I am not kidding about that. This is really going to take some of the burden off of your shoulders. I'm going to explain to you why this is such an important thing to pay attention to. I'm going to explain exactly what to pay attention to and how to best pay attention to it. So we're going to cover all of the most important pieces of the puzzle when it comes to this topic. My name is Anthony Spanos. I am a former finance manager, finance director, and general sales manager, and a top salesperson who made $190,000 my first year on the sales floor. So I've personally experienced the benefits of this system and this particular issue that surprisingly is a common problem in the industry. So let's jump right into it. What we're going to be talking about today is product knowledge. Now, don't click away too quickly because I know that it is a boring topic. A lot of salespeople are like, yeah, I know, but they don't really know, especially if you're newer. I know this is an area that a lot of salespeople don't get a lot of support with. And I can tell you from personal experience that when I was a brand new salesperson on the sales floor, this was my number one fear. Learning all of the information about the different cars on our lot was very, very difficult for me. I couldn't even tell the difference between certain models when I was brand new, and it was really stressful not knowing how to explain or what even is on our lot when it comes to the vehicles. So product knowledge is a foundational important skill, but surprisingly, most salespeople don't train it. They just kind of absorb information here and there like a sponge as they go about their job. But really mastering this is so important, right? Because this is expertise that we're talking about here. Comprehensive product knowledge, meaning that you know everything about the vehicles that you sell, is one of the major foundations of customer trust. And trust is your only currency. You're going to hear me say that all the time. As a salesperson, trust is your only currency. By being able to demonstrate a total mastery of your product, of your inventory, and all the details about your product, you're going to establish yourself as a credible professional right off the bat. This is the quickest, easiest way to gain instant trust and credibility with your customers, with your clients. There is not a single thing I can think of that will put you into a position of authority and expertise faster than being able to demonstrate your product knowledge. You need to be able to show off to your customers when it comes to product knowledge. You want to be a show off. You should be able to spit information out left and right about any car on your lot at any given time. You shouldn't have to look up the answers to common questions, right? So this would be things like differences between trim levels, including price, right? What's the name of all the models in your lineup? Right? This is basic stuff, but so many people don't know it. And when I say don't know it, I don't mean just knowing what the different trim levels are. I started at a Toyota dealership, right? So we had XLE, XLE Premium, right? On the RAV4, for example. Knowing exactly what the difference is, all the differences between those two trims or any other trim on any other given vehicle is so important because customers are going to ask you, well, what do I get when I upgrade from an XLE to an XLE Premium? Well, Mr. Customer, you get leather, right? Leather interior is standard on the XLE Premium. Mr. Customer, the auto start is standard on the XLE Premium, whereas it's an option on the XLE, just as an example, right? So having that level of comfort and knowledge is really going to grant you the credibility when you can just reply right away rather than having to look it up. So those major common questions, so important. And also the less that you have to look up technical and mechanical questions, the better. Now, this is a little bit harder to memorize because there's just so much more information when you kind of expand out to this space. But this would be things like, what's the horsepower of the vehicle? What's the engine size of the vehicle? How many cylinders does it have, right? What's the curb weight of the vehicle? What kind of oil does it take, right? So these kinds of questions are also going to come up. And if you can answer these, this is the real sign of mastery. This is really going to set you apart. If someone asks you the horsepower and you just can say, boom, 328, right? 521 foot-pounds of torque. It's a lot. That'd be a crazy monster car. But anyway, If you can respond to technical questions instantly, now you are a super expert master, right? And you can really show off to your customers. You're going to gain so much trust with them. They're instantly going to get that feeling of, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, right? This guy's been around a while. And when you help them make a decision, they're just going to believe you. They're going to trust you. They're going to feel so much more at ease than if you have to look it up. Because if you're looking up answers to their questions, why should they trust you when you recommend one vehicle over another, right? Or any other sort of influence that you might need to have in the interaction, you're just going to lose credibility with. So it's so important to know these right away. Quick, accurate responses with information sharing are going to help create confident purchasing decisions with your customers. That's the key takeaway there. Now, in terms of what you have to master, we talked about this a little bit, but your absolute must knows, these are your most common questions, are the ones that you need to prioritize first, right? So every model in your lineup, major differences between trim levels. So what's the main purpose and design of every model in your lineup, right? Mr. Customer, the Toyota Tundra is excellent for towing. You have much more room in the second row if you get the full size cab in case you have children or pets, right? If you have a trailer that is over 5,000 pounds or 6,500 pounds, then you're going to need the Toyota Tundra versus the Toyota Tacoma, which has a towing capacity of only 5,000 pounds, right? So being able to explain these differences, the major differences and selling points between models is going to be so important for you. Pricing is also going to come up very often. What's the difference in price between X model and Y model? And if you could spit that off, also really valuable information. Warranty information, huge, huge, huge. That's going to come up so often. Now, most manufacturers will have just a standard warranty, right, across their whole lineup. Maybe a longer one on electric vehicles has been pretty common as well for the batteries and such. But knowing what your warranty offer is so important. Mr. Customer, 3-year, 36,000 mile bumper to bumper warranty. And then you also get a 5-year, 60,000 mile powertrain warranty, and being able to explain what that means as well. Mr. Customer, the powertrain warranty covers the engine, transmission, and drivetrain. It's the internally lubricated components of the vehicle, right? The more you can explain this information, the more they'll trust you, the better off you'll be. Trim levels, so important, including pricing, like I mentioned already. Specifications regarding utility, right? So these might sound like technical questions, but if they apply to actual use cases for the vehicle, you're going to want to know these as well. So this is going to be your towing capacity. Excellent example, right? Because people need to tow stuff with their trucks. There's utility tied to it. And so you have to know that. What's the miles per gallon, right? That's another big one, right? Because people are sometimes shopping for a vehicle that's got good economy, like a Prius, a hybrid, right? And they want the highest possible miles per gallon. Really important information to know. Trunk size is another big one. Seating capacity, that one's huge, right? And that can change between trim levels, right? So you got to pay attention to stuff like that. Ground clearance may be really important depending on where you're from, right? I sold cars here in Alaska. So with our winters, with the snow we get, ground clearance, huge point that you need to know, but maybe not everywhere, right? So this is going to depend on your brand, depend on your location, but utility questions, huge, important. Your brand's major call to fame is another important thing that you want to be paying attention to. For example, Toyotas are known for their reliability. It's a huge selling point for Toyota. Dependable, reliable. BMWs are known for their luxury as well as their power, right? Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you get this wonderful luxury vehicle with the BMW X5, but you don't sacrifice power. You get sport and luxury together. Hyundai is known for America's best warranty, right? So every brand kind of has these calls to fame that they're known for. You really want to understand the ins and outs of that and what your brand's identity is when it comes to these selling points that they advertise to the public often. Knowing how to operate each vehicle, also super important. So that means understanding what all the buttons on the inside do. You'd be surprised how many salespeople don't know that, right? All of the buttons on the inside, you have to know how to navigate the infotainment system, right? The screens on the interior, how do I get through the menus? Where is one option versus another option? Navigating the gauge cluster behind the steering wheel and being able to explain all of this to a customer, very important because They're going to be using it every day. So they have to know, and you're the one to teach them. Now, in terms of technical questions, once you have those major ones mastered, you're going to want to focus on the technical questions second. After you master the common questions, then you focus on the technical questions. So a big one here is going to be the service interval. How often do I bring it in for service, as well as the cost of maintenance on the vehicle? That may be a little bit more common, right? I kind of put it technical because it didn't come up as often as some of those other questions, but that's important. Horsepower and torque, like I mentioned before, curb weight, engine size, transmission type. Is this a CVT transmission? Is this a 5-speed, 8-speed, 10-speed transmission, right? Knowing all that information, very important. The type of suspension. Is this a leaf spring suspension? Is there, coils that we're talking about here? What kind of shocks does the vehicle have? Is it built for off-roading, right? All of this information, also great to know. Now, once you master all of that information for your regular lineup of new cars, assuming that you work at a new car dealership, then you want to move on to your pre-owned inventory, because I can speak from experience, pre-owned cars are the bread and butter of most dealerships. That's where the gross is. Often it's really worthwhile to focus on your pre-owned inventory. So broadening your expertise by reviewing the same must-know information, all those major common questions for your most common pre-owned vehicles in your inventory. If you notice that you're getting a lot of Jeeps onto your pre-owned lots, or a lot of Fords onto your pre-owned lot, you're going to want to review what is Jeep's major call to fame, what is Ford's major call to fame, and you go through all of the major trim levels of those vehicles and know the different models and the names. All right, all that's going to be important as well. Focus on your brand first, then your pre-owned inventory afterwards, but make sure not to neglect one or the other when you do so. Now, in terms of how to learn, hands-on learning is very, very important. Sit in the cars, drive the cars, touch them, smell them, press all the buttons, play with the screens, navigate through the menus. Nothing really beats the hands-on learning. And most importantly, hands-on is how your customers are going to be experiencing the vehicle as well. So being able to get that kind of POV experience with actually driving the car, you'll be able to put yourself in the shoes of your customers so much more effectively. So very important that you do that. Next up, manufacturer training. So oftentimes at most brands, I haven't been to a store that doesn't do this yet, sales certification training from the manufacturer, not your dealer, is common and often required as well. So super valuable source of information. They're going to give you a lot of those technical specs that I mentioned oftentimes. And since it's coming straight from the people that build it, you can trust it. And it's really great to know, great source of information. You also want to focus on continuous improvement. So make sure to take notes when a customer asks you questions that you don't know the answer to, right? So if something comes up and you can't answer them right off the bat, like I said before, you don't have that quick response, you have to write it down and then learn and memorize these answers. Every time you get a question that you don't know the answer to, it's likely that you're going to get the same question at some point in the future. So when it comes up, just learn it and memorize it. You only have to do it once and then you'll know it forever. So it's a really good way to kind of do a process of elimination and start checking off boxes as questions come up. Read the owner manual. Just read it. I know it's long, I know it's boring, right? But you will learn so much by reading the owner's manual. All of the information you need to know is in there, right? Besides the differences between trim levels and models and things like that, if you want to know everything about a specific trim level, about a specific model, just read the owner's manual for the car. You will get all of the major information and all of the technical information. It'll walk you step by step through how to navigate the systems on the interior, right? It's kind of a shortcut. You only have to read it once and then you know everything about the vehicle. And then a really easy hack, if you don't have a car on your lot, say you're out of a certain model of new cars, or you don't have a certain used car on your lot, you want to learn about it, look up reviews on YouTube. So there's tons of channels out there that do car reviews professionally, and those are often very thorough and very informative because customers go and watch those videos online when they're deciding what vehicle to pick. And so those YouTubers often do a great job of explaining all of the features and benefits and really diving deep into what's available on any given model. So you can go there as a great source of information too. Now I'm going to leave you with a secret weapon that you can use if you happen to not know the answer to something. It will happen, right? You can't be a perfect encyclopedia of knowledge. So sometimes people are going to ask you questions that you don't have the answer to. And when you are in a situation where the answer is unknown, you just want to use a collaborative approach, right? You want to be their friend. So this is your secret weapon. You need to say, Great question, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. I actually don't know the answer to that. And then you can insert a reason why. I'm new, I haven't heard that one before, etc. Right? So great question. I actually don't know the answer to that. I just started this week. Let's find out the answer together. Right? And then you can either look it up or you can play with the vehicle and try and figure it out. And that's just such a friendly, easy way to let them know you don't know without looking and feeling awkward and embarrassed, and then invite them to interact with you more rather than like leaving and asking somebody or just sitting there quietly on your phone, right? Let's find out together. And that's all that I have for you on this topic. Super important. I want to leave you with one more piece of value. So this is a document that I've prepared that basically summarizes everything I spoke about in this video. I call it the Product Knowledge Blueprint, right? So you can print it out and keep it at your desk, keep it in a folder, easy reference. I tried to keep it short and sweet and simple so that you can browse through it and just know exactly what you need to focus on and in what order. And then down at the bottom here, I've included an action steps checklist. So if you don't know exactly where to start or you're a little bit confused on maybe what next steps you need to take, you can just reference the checklist down here, print the document out, check the boxes, and then you'll know just what to do next to improve. So this document I'm going to make available for free in our car sales training group. The link to that group is going to be in the description. It's 100% free, and I provide all of the downloadable content like the blueprints, as well as a video archive where everything's kind of neatly packaged together. So it's school.com/six-figure-car-sales. And again, you can just click the link. It's also in my bio. And I am looking forward to seeing you there. We will catch you in the next one. Thanks so much.